Wickham has more than 20 years insight into the beverage industry. He's consumer goods analyst at Whitman Howard. Chris, is this a done deal? I mean, there are bound to be competition issues here, aren't there?
I think it's looked like quite a done deal for a very long time. I mean, it's been well known in the market that they've been after doing this particular transaction. And so I think we're getting pretty close to the end game right now.
But I mean, the enlarged company is going to have to sell assets to get over competition.
Oh, unquestionably, because in the United States of America, it would end up owning Miller and Coors and Budweiser, and those are comfortably the three largest beer brands in America.
Yeah, I mean, I think on current standing, the pair of them have about 70% of the US beer market.
Yeah, a little bit more actually than the rest. So it's that sort of number certainly wouldn't be able to hang on to that, and therefore it would be a forced disposal.
Yeah, now what about the price? Are ABI overpaying? I mean, they're not renowned for overpaying, are they?
Well, I look at it and I think it's being very much done at what I would call a mature market's return rate. And a bit like when you're betting on a horse race, if you're backing an outsider, you want much bigger odds than you do if you're betting on the favourite. And so typically when you buy a business that's got a lot of exposure to emerging markets, that's very big in South America, that's very big in Africa, you'd expect to make a much bigger return on your investment. And I don't think really for the kind of return that we're talking about, that they're really paying a sensible price for this.
Yeah, I mean, we can see how the offers have increased. 42.15, that was the third proposal, which SAB's chairman, Jan du Plessis, said that substantially undervalued the business, but they've only gone up to 44 quid though on that basis.
Well, I was sort of thinking that the maximum amount they should really be paying was around about 40, so right. The SABMiller shareholders are doing quite well out of this. Right,
but I mean the point on Africa that you were making, I mean the fastest growing market in Africa is Nigeria, which isn't an SAB territory at all.
Well, it's a very big population. It's 180 million people, and you're right. I mean, it's Heineken with their Nigerian brewers, it's Diageo with Guinness Nigeria, and so they'd be pretty well shut out of that market.
Yeah, now since you mentioned Heineken and Diageo and some of the competitors, I mean this makes the number one player even bigger. What do the likes of Heineken and Carlsberg do to respond?
Well, Heineken's been very successful in a way that both SAB and Miller and InBev haven't been so successful, is that they've been able to get their beer outside their own country. And the fact that they have a strategy which means that they're really all about the beer. It's about getting the Heineken brand into as many different countries in the world, and they've been very successful. They're the 7th largest beer brand in the world, and yet they've got a very small country relative to the other 6 that are bigger than them, that are all either from America or from China. So they must fancy themselves. There's a lot of markets where if there's a little bit of chaos, a bit of uncertainty at SABMiller, they can probably go in there. Places like Poland, Italy, Holland, and grab a bit of share.
And they pick up some of these assets. What about Diageo? Because I mean, Diageo was talked about as a potential white knight for SAB over the years. Obviously, big brewer in Guinness.
Well, I think the options for Diageo, I mean, could look very attractive. I mean, clearly, if there's a lot of consolidation going on and people are pushing up the value of beer assets, then clearly their own beer asset, which again is a bit like Heineken's. I mean, it's global. It's an instantly recognisable brand in Guinness, and it also embraces the whole culture of craft in beer, that people are saying, I don't want to just drink stuff that's yellow and fizzy. I want something that's a little bit more manly, has a little bit more of a taste. And so Diageo could come out of this really well.
That's interesting. All right, Chris Wickham, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Barclays